Hi, everybody. Welcome to our re-recorded training for house directors. As a reminder, this training is not mandatory. It's simply to help you be as successful as possible in your role, so that you can have an enjoyable experience and so that we provide our students with an enjoyable, safe, and healthy living experience. So I want to kick us off by doing an overview so that you know what we're going to get into. I am going to try to share my screen because that didn't work last time and do the full slide mode, but I've been having some trouble. So if that doesn't work, then we'll just look at it as the PowerPoint together. But either way, you'll be able to see the content. So let's get us started. Okay, so first I'm going to introduce you to the staff, who is on our team, where we're located, so that you can reach out to us whenever. Then I'm going to give you a brief, yep, there we go. So then I'm going to give you a brief overview of our community. If you're new to this position, this will be really helpful. So you can just learn a little bit about what community you just joined. Then we're going to spend some time talking about the relationship between you as the house director and us as an office and the university, give a little bit of historical context, talk about the position, expectations, things that'll help you in your role. Then we're going to transition to some personal development, helping you navigate communication styles with Generation Z. Then we're going to talk about chapter house operations, university policies and expectations, student safety and accountability. And then we're going to wrap up our time giving you some campus resources, some emergency contact information, and then some links for additional resources. Okay, so first I want to introduce you to our office. So our Office of Sorority and Fraternity Life, is located in Baker 330. And that's our phone number, 593 593-4065. But due to COVID, we are all working remote. However, we have normal office hours. So if you need anything between 8 and 5, you can contact me at that phone number. So these are the members of our staff, myself as the director. And then I have two returning graduate assistants, Jeremy Paul, who is the primary advisor for IFC, and then Justice Berta, who's the primary advisor for our Women's Panhellenic Association. I'm happy to introduce Stephen J. Black, who is our primary advisor to MPHC and UGC, and he is actually the house director for Phi Kappa Psi. So Stephen, you should be watching this. So our office mission and what we want to try to do at the end of every day is, in partnership with students, foster a positive, ethical, healthy, and equitable social values-based experience for all of our members in our community. And we do that through these priorities. We want to empower our students. We want to prevent harm. We want to educate and develop them holistically. We want to provide opportunities for social justice and equity. We want to partner and collaborate with them, with you, with our international headquarters, with other campus departments. And then we want to advocate for our students and our advisors and our stakeholders as best as we can. So again, a brief overview of our community. Because Ohio is so old, so too is our community. And so our Greek community was founded over 175 years ago. And it's come to be what it is now with 4 governing councils, our IFC with 14 chapters. And I found out this number is a little skewed after we got some roster updates, but we have about 750 men. Our MPHC, actually, we have 5 chapters now with around 50 members. Our UGC has 1 chapter with 10 members, and then our WPA has 10 chapters. And we actually have about I'd say closer to 1,500 women. With primary recruitment occurring now, we will probably see an increase of like 300 to 500 students in the next month or two. Currently, we're about 10 to 12% of the student body, and 21 of our 30 chapters are housed. Again, I'm sorry that these numbers have changed just over the last week since I made this. Our chapter's primary focus, while the words may look different across the board, they really are all wanting to focus on developing their members, interacting socially, charitable giving, whether that be to their local or national philanthropy, um, academic achievement, and then service back to the greater community. And then something else to know is that, year after year, our councils, our organizations have a higher average GPA than those not affiliated. So something to be really proud of. Okay, so moving on to the housing relationship. Obviously, you hopefully know this by now, but that all of our facilities are either owned or managed by a local or national house corporation. So that makes it a little bit unique in what our relationship as a university is with you and with your house. Right now, the only connection with us is because we have that second year on campus exemption. Sorority and fraternity houses are the only ones, other than veterans, non-traditional students, commuters, that have the ability to apply for an exemption to move out of the residence halls and into an off-campus facility. So because of that, the university wants to ensure that all of our students, but especially our sophomores, are having a safe and healthy living experience that's similar to an environment that they would get in the residence halls. And so some of the things that the university has put in place, or hopes or expectations that they look for, is that your houses are conducting semesterly fire inspections that happen within the first 2 weeks of the semester, that you're conducting a health and safety inspection with our outside contractor, and that happens in the spring, that you're providing us with housing documentation like your member's lease or contract, a roster of everybody that is living in the house, and then a copy of your contract. And again, that's just for us to have on file to know that everything's being fulfilled. And then we look for requirements for you as the house director. Typically, we like for you to be a graduated member. And then if you are actually from this chapter, that you're preferably 2 years removed. And that's honestly just to set you up for success, because it can be really hard to hold your peers accountable if you're still a current member or if you are just recently graduated. So again, these are the things that we look for from our facilities in order for these sophomores to be exempt from living on campus. Okay, so we look for things from you. So why should we support you as house directors? You as house directors are asked to do many of the same things that our resident hall directors do, but yet unlike the RDs, there's little or no built-in support network from the university. Luckily, those of you that have an international house corporation board or a really strong local house corp get the support, the advising, the training that you need to be successful, but some of you might not have that. And so, we want to make sure that you're getting the resources and the training that you need. You as the house directors are on the front line in our fraternity and sorority houses. If you're personally acquainted with university administrators, our staff, you'll be much more likely to be abreast of situations, trends that are happening in other chapter homes, and things that are affecting our students. So for example, right now with COVID, us being able to let you know the things that we're looking for, that students are reporting if they have tested positive by filling out the Maxine form, that we're giving you the hotline to report so that we can have an accurate dashboard as a university. These are all things that we want to see in a successful partnership. And because of this, studies have shown that chapter houses with house directors are much less likely to cause trouble with their neighbors or to let social events get out of hand. So, it's good that you're there, that you are providing a safe environment for our students. And, that helps make our community better overall. So what we want to provide to you, and if there's other things that you need, questions you have, I am all ears. I want to make this better. But currently we're working on creating a directory of contact information for all of you on campus. So if we don't have your information, name, email, affiliation, house, please send that to us so that we can have an updated list. a directory of key players in university admin, so dean of students, conduct, vice president of student affairs, counseling and psychological services, OUPD, whatever you need. We want to continue to provide you with professional development if that's something you want and need. Invitation to events. You're part of this community. We want you to enjoy the stuff that we're doing. And then use of a campus email and campus email address. So if you want something to separate your personal email from your student or whatever it may be, for your house director email, we're happy to make you like Data Chi house advisor at ohio.edu. You just have to let me know. Okay, I'm not going to read through all of these, but wanted to give you some general tips for success as the house director. I think some of these things will help you be really successful. Getting to know your chapter members, individuals, making sure that you're establishing the relationships with your house corporation, with the other members of the advisory board, communicating your expectations or just having a dialogue around what your expectations are and what the house corp's expectations are of you right up front will put everybody on the same page and will be really helpful. Let's see. You're a role model. So if there's policies of the house, but again, going back to COVID, if the house policies are currently that you have to wear a mask in all public places, so with the exception of your private room, then you as the house director should be modeling the way and doing that too. And then another thing that will help you be successful is if you do know and are familiar with all of the policies of your national organization, of our office and the university, because then that will help you enforce them. And so I would encourage you to spend your free time reviewing those. And if you need help locating specific ones, just let me know. So your responsibilities will probably vary depending on your contract, but some of the ones that are usually like similar across the board is that you're going to be responsible for the residential and dining components of the house. You might supervise full-time staff. You're going to coordinate the day-to-day operations of the chapter and the organization. You're going to ensure that your residents are following policies. You might assist in academic excellence. And you're definitely going to want to promote the house safety and make recommendations for improvements when appropriate. So some suggested duties, and again, these may change based on your contract, but residing in the house whenever it's open, attending all in-house functions, serving as host for special events like motherhood teas, homecoming, Founders Day receptions, attend all house director meetings, provide a positive living experience, and then developing and implementing programs that are specific to housing needs. And then again, make sure that you're working with advisors, that you're reporting unacceptable conduct and other forms of wrongdoing, and that you're just assisting them in, whatever they need. And so, I think that you'll have a better experience if you are stepping out of your room, getting to know the men and women in your house and learning about like what they need, who they are, what's of interest to them, and assisting them in that way. Okay, so a quick little breakup of all this info. Just wanted to give you some personal and professional development tools of how to work with this fascinating generation, Gen Z. So Gen Z consists of students that were born in 95 or later, and they actually make up around 33% of our population right now. Some common characteristics include that they're willing to start from the bottom and work their way up. They know what they need to get ahead in life. 67% say their top concern is how to pay for college and not drowning in debt. So really factoring that into all that we do as far as with dues and finances. They're really competitive. They dislike group projects and want to work alone. They want honesty and fairness. Okay, here's one that might be interesting to you all. 40% said that working Wi-Fi was more important than working bathrooms. I would rather have a working bathroom, but I digress. So making sure that they're able to be connected, especially since most of our students are virtual right now. Um, so the best ways to communicate with Gen Z, communicate across multiple platforms. I have learned that if I want a message to get across, I need to email, I need to group me, and I need to put it on social media. So if it's super important, think about all the ways that you can hit them with that info. Connect through images. They have like a 7-second attention span. So a lot of words is just too much. And they are experiencing Zoom burnout right now. So, think about how we can just do quick little memes, or Canva is really great to create little images that gets your message across. See them as diverse. So right here, of course, I'm putting generalizations in place, but every student is different, comes with different backgrounds, needs, cultures, and so remembering that. And then they are adults. Sometimes they might not act like it, but they're adults, and so we need to see them and treat them as such. Okay, so looking at house operations, again, not going to talk through all this, but I'll keep this up here a little bit for you to look over, and I'll pull up the big ones. Remember, I get it. Like, no matter how cool you are, students are always going to listen to students first. So you could say something, never listen. And then a student will be like, well, what about this? And you're like, I've been saying that for months. You got to take the small wins. Learn every member's name and use it often. Sometimes no is the best answer. Make sure you're challenging the process. Like, you're part of this learning development for them. So if you see something or hear something that isn't appropriate, that's a time for you to challenge them and help them be better in their fraternity and sorority experience. Choose your battles and don't neglect your personal life. So you're living where you work. So make sure you turn off, set hours for yourself. Again, whatever's laid out in your contract, you want to follow that, but just making sure you're taking care of yourself. Okay, so I want to make you aware of what I call the big three policies. So we're going to talk through hazing, sexual misconduct, and alcohol. And please note the policy numbers, because these are on the university's website. So if you want to read through it in more detail, you can. But I think it's good for you just to be aware of these policies so that, again, you're not required to report any of this stuff. But at the end of the day, I think we're all here for the same reason, and that's to keep our students safe. And so I would hope that as a partner to our office, to the university, that if you see any of these things happening, that you report it, or that you can have a conversation with me so that I can work to help the chapter improve. So the hazing policy is any action or situation which recklessly or intentionally endangers the mental, emotional, or physical health or safety of a student for the purpose of initiation. And it talks about brutality and the physical nature. It talks about coerced consumption. Sorry, my daughter's chasing my dog. It talks about, the emotional side, the mental stress, the sleep deprivation, abandoning people, sending them out on crazy scavenger hunts, humiliation. And so, Mila, please stop. Please stop. I'm so sorry. The perks of working from home and being virtual. So, a lot of students want it to be spelled out completely. Is this hazing? Is this not? And sometimes you can't do that. I think what's important is, is this part of your new member education program? If it's not, why are we doing it? Would you be okay with the office watching this? If not, then we probably shouldn't be doing it. Happy to engage in a conversation more fully about hazing if that's something we want to do as a professional development conversation. Luckily, well, not luckily because you're there, but usually we see these things happen in our annex houses and not our recognized facility. But it's still important to see, and if you can notice things that are happening, the new members will be at the facilities. And so there might be things that you may start to see that if all the new members are sitting together, they seem disengaged, they seem really exhausted or tired. Those are things to look for. I also wanted to include the sexual misconduct, relationship violence, and stalking policy in here. Really, the conversations we have with our students a lot is around consent, and that it needs to be informed, knowing, and voluntary. It has to be clear and unambiguous, that one act doesn't mean that you have consent for the next. And so I think that, again, this could be a really good opportunity based on your relationship with the members in your house. You might hear that, like, quote unquote locker room talk happening if they're all hanging out, or just like women just chatting. But, that's a way for you to intervene as a bystander and have conversations around, like, "Ooh, let's not consent," like, and just helping them work through that. Again, that if you have people talking about a situation that happens, a majority of you are not forced to report, but I would hope that their student safety is our primary concern, and how can we work together on that. Finally is the alcoholic beverages on university property and in fraternity and sorority houses. So this just talks about, which, and with most of your organizations have in place, is that they can't have alcoholic beverages in any of the public spaces of their facilities. If they're 21 and over, you can have it in a bedroom. So that's what that policy is. And then currently, we have some rules and regulations that aren't university policies, but are regulations for our office and for all 30 of our groups. And it's that we're following all COVID-19 guidelines, that all events need to be registered, that if there are events with alcohol, they need to be a BYO, which means bring your own alcohol, or a third party vended, which means that they're actually hiring somebody out to be the bartender to take on social host liability. And that they have sober monitors and hosts. When I say the events must be closed, that means that people need to be invited, and we need to have guest lists, especially now. Guest lists are going to be, I'm so sorry. Guest lists are going to be important now more than ever for contact tracing. So, okay. Moving on to student safety and accountability. Again, I've mentioned this several times, that most of you are not required to report, but we want to look at, like, what our priority is, and that's keeping our students safe. So I'm happy to engage in conversations with you, so that we can talk about potential policy violations. Again, I would also ask that anytime a police report has been filed, if there's been a fire, 911's been called, a student's been taken to the hospital, that you just let me know. And if it's an emergency, I can give you my cell phone number so that you're letting me know. But if it's something that you feel can hold off, that you're just shooting me an email so that I have that information. My cell phone number's here. So this is what I was just talking about, that we ask that you inform us of the following. And I meant to give you the phone numbers for these folks here. So I will follow that up in a thread, so that you have those. And I can also send you a little resource guide too. And then these are just some fun little additional resources that I was reading on some house director manuals about having, like, a ransom box. So if you are a house that has tools or anything like that, someone needs to borrow it, they need to pay $1, or I'm sorry, they need to give a driver's license, and they don't get it back until they've returned the tool. The ransom box is if anybody's left anything public, so like their hoodie at one of the study tables, you take it, you put it in the ransom box, they cannot get it back until they pay $1. So some of this stuff that's cool to put in a little toolbox. I know some of the houses talked about having boxes in the bathroom, in the laundry room, in the kitchen, and then like a main area box. And then finally, a lot of houses said always keep a feminine emergency kit in the both sorority and fraternity guest bathrooms, which I think is a really nice little addition to make your guests feel welcome. And then last but not least, like I said, I would provide you with some links, and I can share these out via email if you would like those. But there's just some sample house director manuals, some resources from a fraternal conference, insurance company, and then some COVID response stuff, which I know a lot of you have gotten from your national organizations. But this is all the information. Hopefully, this will help you be successful in your role. I want to thank you for the job that you're doing. It is a very important role in the sorority and fraternity experience. So thank you. And I look forward to our continued partnership. If you haven't already, please make sure you introduce yourself in the original prompt. And then I would love for you to answer some questions or make a couple comments on the stuff that you felt was the most helpful with this video, the things you're most looking forward to in this role, and what are professional development opportunities you would like. So yeah, or whatever else you want, go ahead and post it. Again, thank you so much. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. Happy viewing.